And Tiffany Anderson, who we're about to talk to, she also had to go through a major cleansing and healing to even be able to try and recover from all the pesticides and accidents and everything that she was exposed to working as a pesticide applicator for the San Joaquin Vector Control Department, which, you probably have not even heard of a vector control department. We very rarely hear them. We usually hear them in regards to mosquitoes or some sort of other medfly or insect infestation, which, there's I kind of have different feelings. First of all, many of these things could be avoided also, and we don't even need pesticides. But just, how we're using some of these pesticides and how the vector department conducts business can be shocking. Shocking and extremely disturbing. And what some of the things that Tiffany has told us so far have been mind-blowing. But we have to know this stuff, people. We've got to absorb it. We have to accept it, because this is how we make change for the better. Once we accept that these things are really happening, then we can start to move forward towards changing it. And please, those of you, one of the reasons we're so upset about pesticide use is we've been trying to bring the monarch butterflies back. We've actually have 150 chrysalis. That means butterflies ready to hatch in our garage right now. I mean, we had hungry caterpillar. You try and feed 150 hungry caterpillars at one time. I was taking out pot after pot, but we're going to be releasing those. We want to invite people to participate in our release of these butterflies. Please go to bluemonarchproject.com, info@bluemonarchproject.com, or Elaine at smarthealthtalk.com, and let me know you're interested and participate in our effort with the monarchs and releasing the monarchs to be free and fly around and hopefully not get sprayed with pesticide by someone spraying a weed in their yard, for example. Please tell your landscapers no pesticide. That would be so huge if everyone just did that. And so we have one of our little sick butterflies here. Almost all of them were healthy. We had a few that were not. This one right here, unfortunately, will never fly. But that's okay, because we're going to still take care of it. So he's our little sick one. And so that's what we try to prevent with our program, and we've been pretty successful at preventing most of the disease that happen with monarch butterflies. Okay, let's get to Tiffany, and let's start getting into what's going on down at the vector department, because we all have to know that, because those people come and spray our yard. That's right, and they're spraying all around our city, and we don't even know it. But we're going to find out what's going on here, because we got Tiffany to give us the inside scoop. Tiffany Anderson, welcome to Smart Health Talk. Woohoo!
Hi, Elaine. Hi.
How you doing?
I'm excited. I'm just sitting here trying to hold my breath. I just want to keep cutting in. I got all my documents ready. And today we were going to talk about pesticides and chemicals. Was that what we were going to talk about?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I saw a sound bite on TV this week for West Nile virus, and what they're doing is they're promoting West Nile virus. Saying that there were some heavy areas with West Nile virus, which would mean that they would need to spray. And what happens is when they campaign heavy for West Nile virus, that allows them to apply for special emergency funding. So they're already funded with state and tax county assessments, 2 assessments to be exact. But when they start getting into the state of emergency, then they start filing for federal emergency funding. And it's my hope this year, kind of one of my goals is to get their federal funding stopped. If you can go on their website and you can look for each county, and they will show you the areas where West Nile was prevalent, and I can prove every time that they had a West Nile emergency that they were understaffed, that they were mismanaging, that they were not, in fact, using the resources that they had to actually prevent West Nile, and that they are actually creating a state of emergency. So it's kind of my own personal goal and campaign to bring that to light and bring that to the public, because I, for one, am really tired of being ripped off by the government, um, for taxes, and then to have, I mean, this is criminal at this point. It's a crime, and so I'm going.
It's
Yes,
corporate welfare. It's stealing from taxpayers for their own personal benefit. It's like lying. It's pretty much
it is
it's
lying.
lying.
It's a crime. It's a crime. They're committing a crime, and they are lying. Yes, and they're conspiring. Um, but I
To steal money.
they are stealing, and not only that, they are exposing. Let me ask you, how many mosquito technicians have you heard of that have come down with West Nile virus? If in all these years of this state of emergency that we've had with this epidemic, how many pesticide applicators, the ones that go out in the field every day and are working in those areas where the West Nile is, how many have had West Nile virus?
Well, let's see. The last time I had checked, last year, a whole 63 people died of
Wait a
West
minute. No,
Nile.
no, that's not what I'm saying. How
Well,
many pesticide applicators that work for
at,
mosquito and vector control?
out of those 63 people that died, I doubt that any of them were pesticide
I'm going to go
applicators.
with none. So,
Yeah.
so no pesticide applicators. The people who work in the areas that go on the front lines every day, they are not getting West Nile. And I will also tell you that we're not tested for it. I was really sick. I was having pesticide symptoms when West Nile was prevalent, and so I went to my doctor. They did test, my own doctor tested me once for West Nile, but she said that the test was very expensive. And so I started donating blood, and that was how I would get tested for West Nile. But even if a pesticide applicator were to come down with West Nile, their work comp would deny it anyway, because I know, because I've had pesticide poisoning and they've denied my pesticide claims. So it's just it's fraud. It's a fraudulent agency. But let me get down to the pesticide safety training and safety training records. So I have my training records here. I'm going to read down the column of what we need to know, and then I'm also going to go down the column of the chemicals. And so we are required to know safety procedures of pouring, lifting, opening, operating equipment, etc. We're supposed to know and wear protective clothing and equipment, coveralls, gloves, goggles, boots, respirators, apron, etc. Now, there's this section here. It says, report immediately symptoms of poisoning. Pinpoint pupils, nausea, shortness of breath, dizziness, headache, blurred, and vision. We always ignored that one. That box is never checked. Our employer never complies with that. In fact, they intentionally ignore that one. So wash hands and arms with soap and water before eating, drinking, smoking, and going to the restroom. We are to wash completely at the end of the workday and change into clean clothing. I will tell you that that our uniforms go to a uniform company, and this uniform company they should be aware that my employer is using chemicals that are more toxic than they report to that company who's washing the clothes and to the public at large. So then it says, wear clean work clothes daily, emergency medical information, name, address, phone number of clinic, physician, or hospital emergency room, and where information is located. So that's something that they don't do. Medical supervision. This is the one that you're gonna really like. Required when working more than 30 hours in 30 days with carbamates, organophosphates, with danger or warning on the label. Again, they do not comply with that. So we are to read the label, signal word, precautions, first aid, the rate of dilution and volume. It tells us how to get rid of the pesticide containers when we're finished with them. We're supposed to triple rinse them. Then drift, confine the spray to the crop. Watch out for people, animals, waterways, or any special hazards. Storage of pesticides can be locked and posted area or with an authorized person watching the cans. And then we're supposed to see Pesticide Safety Information Series 8. So anyone with more interest in what the safety procedures are should look up the Department of Agriculture, Department of Pesticide Regulations, series number 1 through 8. They're very extensive, and there's a lot of laws and rules that are not followed by this agency. So I'm going to start going through now the pesticides. Agnique MMF. Agnique MMF is it's a pellet that turns into a larvicide, and it also is a pupicide. It was a newer pesticide. It came out in 2011 is when we started using it. We had no training on it, and when it came out, they just said here, and we started using it. Then we have the Alticid 30-day briquettes, the extended 120 briquettes, the 120-day briquettes, the Alticid pellets, and all of those Alticid products, those are the hormone growth regulators. Those are the ones that tweak the hormones. So, like
so they're tweaking hormones of the insects, and they can also tweak our hormones.
Our hormones, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So then we have Aquabac XT. Now, Aquabac is a bacillus. It's a bacteria, and it gets into the gut. So it's a larvicide. We have Golden Bear 1111 and BVA2. Those are both oils, petroleum distillates that we used as a pupicide. So what a pupicide does is when I got into this before, but when the larva gets into about the 3rd stage, almost to the 4th stage, it stops eating. So when it stops eating, the only other way to kill it is to suffocate it. So we would use oils on it. Then there's the Vectobac 12AS Vectobac granules. So the granules they come in 50-pound bags. It's put on like a corn, kind of like a corn grain, and so because the pesticide needs to cohese with something, so otherwise it would sink to the bottom. So the corn helps it come to the surface where the mosquito larva will go up and eat it. So then there's the Vectobac.
Does other things, do other fish and aquatic life that you wouldn't want to kill also eat the corn, and can it hurt them?
Well, I if it's in the water, even if it's not eating it, it's penetrating the skin. It's going through, even if it's not eating it, it's being absorbed.
So for anything else that would be swimming in the water.
Sure. Yeah, I mean absorption is a route or method of treatment.
Yeah, that's one of the ways that you get it inside of what you're trying to get it inside. It's inhalation. What are the 3 ways?
It's inhalation, it's absorption, and it's when you eat, digestion.
Okay, those are the three ways.
So then you've got your Vectolex products, and your Vectolex, they have a residual. So the Vectobac is a one-time kill. It's a quick kill. When you use the Vectobac within probably 20 minutes, 15 minutes, your target species is gone. It's killed. It's you if you go back, so one of the things they would ask you to do is when you're learning how to use the pesticides, you would spray it and then you would go back to see if you got a good kill or not. So so the Vectobac is a quick instant kill. It kills the first instar, which when they start eating, up to the third to the fourth instar sometimes, and it's a quick kill within 20 minutes. Now the Vectolex, it's interesting because it has a 21-day residual. So what happens is the larva eats it, and it feeds. It's like it reproduces the chemical in its gut, and so it continues this kill for 21 days. So does that make sense?
Well, so that it's like an active ingredient for killing pretty much everything for 21 days.
I'm not going to go that far because I was killing something very specific. So I didn't, okay, I saw dead fish at the White Slough facility. I saw dead fish, it's in certain areas, and we can get into those chemicals. I wasn't looking for any other signs of death, if that makes sense. And I actually, I wasn't picking, I'm not going to say that these chemicals don't, like the hormone growth regulators. I know they messed with my own hormones. I already told you that story. So I think I think that whatever the mode of whatever the chemical does to the mosquito, that's what it would do to the human or to the any other life form. So the hormone growth regulators are going to affect your hormones. The vectobacs, or those are bacterias. So those are going to create bacterias. Those will, probably get people sick, mess with your gut.
So,
What they do is they mess with the gut. Those are gut bacterias.
and
Um,
people are having gut problems all the time. So, do you think that that's something that gets on people's food? Is that ever like happening in places that eventually end up in irrigation water that would end
of
up on?
course, yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, that sounds depressing.
Okay, so then we've got
uh,
Aquamaster, Garlon 4 Ultra, Roundup Pro Concentrate, In Place, Monterey Crop Oil, and R11. So what we have so all of those are herbicides. Some are used for waters. Some you spray in water. Some you spray not in water. So like I'll use Roundup and I'll use Garlon as two different examples. Garlon okay. Garlon is a herbicide, and it's used for. I believe that Garlon is the one that's used in the water, and it's used with a spreader. So, and one kills stems, is systemic, and the other one is kills the leaves.
because I talked to a local government agency here, and uh, they're like, I hear you, about using the pesticides in the water. But they said they're dealing with invasive species that are growing in there, and that they have to use. And they said something that ends in like lavore at the end of it, aclavore or something like that. I thought I heard you mention that.
I'm not done yet with the chemicals. I've got I've
Yeah,
got
go
you're
ahead.
you're gonna you're gonna flip out. I mean, it doesn't stop.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
And
ahead
so
with that,
so
because
so um so but I did find out some. Okay, so I've been I had a conversation with a park superintendent. He worked for the city of Lodi. He worked for the parks. We were talking about the Roundup. So when we used Roundup, we used in place as a spreader. So we used them together. Remember, we were talking about the synergist and the
And so you're getting it to
antagonist.
spread in the water, is that it?
Yeah, it helps. Okay, so this
Dissipate it. It helps dissipate it into smaller
Okay,
molecules.
so this one says general, okay, in place is specially formulated for use with conventional spray mixtures in agriculture, forestry, roadside industrial, non-crop, turf, golf courses, and ornamentals. In place is a deposition and retention agent that reduces the number of driftable fines. Okay, so I was talking to this park guy, and he was telling me that they were not allowed to use in place in the parks in Lodi because it was too strong. He said, so he said, so they had to use it without their knowledge. So what he told me was they used it anyway. They just used it without permission. So when you talked about these things being used in parks, you hit the nail on the head. You're right. They so anyway,
Yeah, go ahead and go down the list and let's
yeah,
hear
so
about
those
some
were
of these
the
other ones.
herbicides. So then Evergreen 66, 60-6, that is it's an adulticide that is sprayed out of the back of the trucks, the foggers. Pyranone 25-5, that is mixed, and that one, oh wait, no, that is also used on a fogger. Pyranone crop spray, that's sprayed out of the back of our truck. Pyrocide, MGK, we use that a lot. Pyranol crop spray, that one is sprayed out of our truck. I don't know. Oh, pyranone and pyranol.
Does that have the
Pyro.
pyrethrum in it?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
But
okay.
but
Well,
but I
I
think
have
once
to
it's that.
ask you because they just did this thing on ticks on television, and they actually told people to spray pyrethrum
No,
on their
no, my.
skin. What do you think about that, Tiffany?
I think that that is insane because my central nervous system was under such attack. I was not on any medications prior to working at this agency. I had no medical history at all, zero. I didn't take medications at all, and I was on such heavy doses of anxiety medications um, and pain medications. My doctors wanted to put me on morphine because they were saying that my central nervous system was under such attack that the medications was not getting it was not touching my system. And so what pyranone, what okay, so when you talk about the pyrethrins, one of them is a synthetic form, the other one is natural. So when you're asking me about the pyranone and the pyranyl, one's synthetic and one's natural. But the pyrethrin's a plant. It's a nerve. What it does to the mosquito is it gets on the mosquito, and the mosquito dies of a heart attack. The mosquito dies from freaking out. It starts freaking out because it attacks its central nervous system, just like it did to me, and it dies from a heart attack. Remember how we were talking about heart attacks being prevalent in my workplace last week?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Well,
Wow, I
that's
didn't
what
realize that there would be that kind of connection. And they're
it's your
telling
central nervous
people for
system.
to prevent getting bitten by a tick to spray that on your skin. I just couldn't believe my words. And then I went on the Beyond Pesticides website, and they had a post about it. And I'm like, okay, so I wasn't thinking, like this was crazy alone. They're saying it's crazy. You're
It's
saying
it's
it's
insane.
crazy.
It's insane. It's insane. Okay, I'll tell you what. When I worked for Vector, they didn't have us put this stuff on our skin. They didn't, I mean,
The
they didn't,
purpose was to avoid getting it on your skin, right?
what's that?
You would want to avoid getting it on your
Absolutely.
skin,
I mean, do you know
not
how long,
willfully put
do,
it on there.
do you know how long of a detox? It took years to detox my body. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, here's the reality. We don't even know that my employer, I'm in a work comp claim with them right now, saying that I was exposed to chemicals, which, I mean, I've named quite a few and we're not done yet. I'm just getting started. And they're, of course, denying that I was exposed to any of these. I don't know how they can because I've got my records right here in front of me. And these are just the ones that they reported. But I have been detoxing my body for years through food, through all the methods that you and I talked about. I mean, a massage a day. Who gets a massage a day?
Well, they want to put cancer warnings in California, and that last court case that we had last week, the judge, after hearing all these scientists testify for months, decided that it should move forward. That the 400 cancer plaintiffs that were affected by
Elaine,
Roundup.
Elaine, why have a cancer warning on this side? Because it doesn't matter. Vector is using pesticides that have cancer warnings that are on Prop 65, and they do not have to comply with any of the laws. So just because they're on there doesn't, it was, so what? I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, that there's nobody's enforcing the laws that we have. So why even have them? I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I mean,
I hear your point. I hear
it's
that makes sense.
why have policy? I mean, the lawyers are just creating things so that they can have a job. I mean, duh. I mean, these are toxic. Don't use them. You can. I was weeding an area I'm a member of two clubs. I'm getting real excited. I think my coffee kicked in. I'm a member of two clubs. One is Tree Lodi, and the other one is the Lodi Garden Club. And I was pulling weeds around a telephone pole, and I, first of all, I can see the signs of just like what you were talking about with your milk plants, and I could see all the dead
Foliage.
plant life.
Yeah.
I don't even, yeah, I could see where they had sprayed. You could smell the telephone pole. So the telephone company or the electric City Lodi must have the right way to keep their pole clean, and so they had sprayed it, which perfectly fine with me. That's fine, but I mean, you could smell it and you could see it. It's clear as day. You know it's toxic. You know you shouldn't be around it. I mean, your body will tell you that immediately. I want to get through the pesticides.
Yeah, we have about 8 minutes left, so go,
Okay, so
Tiffany.
okay, so those are all the pyrethrins, synthetic and man-made, and then we have suspend. And suspend, I am sorry to tell you, I am not really sure exactly. I can't tell you right now what the form of it is, but it's a synthetic, and it actually has, I think, like a 14-day residual. All the other ones that I mentioned, all the pyrethrins, they do not have residuals, supposedly. Okay, now let's get into the chemicals that the district uses on their fish and on their fish hatchery that they do not report to the public, that they do not report to their employees. And that would be parasite F, parasite S, potassium permanganate, proline aqua coat, stress coat, Captain liquid copper algicide, green clean granular algicide, copper sulfate crystals, Cutrine plus, Nutrisorb aquatic microbial blend, aqua prep protein solution, alkalinity reagent, nitrate tablets, and nitrate reagent. So that was quite a few right there. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 chemicals that they do not tell the public. They do not have on their permit to operate as a business. Every year they have to request a permit, and on the permit they're required to put every single chemical that they want to use on that, and then the state can say yes or no, and the state can actually has they had removed like some of the state had removed the organophosphates for a while, but then all of a sudden I saw NAILID was back on their list. Um, so the state has the right to deny when they apply every year.
Well,
So by this
I want to
eight,
make an important point, Tiffany, that you can help clarify to everyone. You mentioned earlier this emergency state that they can
right,
declare to get federal money. Well,
right,
I've heard of the state growers in the state that some of the growers, like the almond growers, for example, can claim that they have some insect that's causing them problems. And these pesticides that have been shelved because they're so toxic can be
right.
pulled out and used in these emergency situations. These
Well,
the
you're bringing out a really good topic or subject, and that is just think about me or the pesticide applicator who unknowingly goes onto somebody's property, a farm, because we go on to all these properties, the farmers, we go on to all of the farmers' properties. They could have just done a huge chemical spray because they're allowed to use chemicals that are much harsher than ours. And one, we're getting an exposure just by walking on their property, and we're not informed that they just sprayed. Two, we could be spraying something that's an antagonist to what they're spraying, creating a bigger problem or a more toxic environment by combining pesticides, the chemicals without without knowing. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely, because actually, I had one of our top pesticide scientists tell that there was a mitoside that because of those inert ingredients you explained to us before, Tiffany, that are secret ingredients in there, that those ingredients combined to make DDT. That in the 90s they were like, how come we're all of a sudden having picking up DDT in the environment again? And they finally figured out that it was actually these secret ingredients in this miticide pesticide that were forming DDT. I mean that I'll never
Well,
forget that story. It just made me realize how scary those inert ingredients are. And
I wish
the
there.
mixing of things, the mixing of these, pesticides together and creating new chemicals that because in the laboratory they are only tested like in the laboratory. They are never tested like against other by mixing other things together.
Well, again, like I pointed out, we as the pesticide applicators are the test subjects, and what's happening is instead of the agency honestly and transparently protecting the employees and their health, they reprimand the employees. They falsify. Maybe next week we can get into the injuries that my coworkers have sustained. They're very severe injuries, and they've been hidden from the public. They've been paid off with cash
Well,
or
look at that first case that's just being heard for cancer from Roundup. The man was spraying Roundup and the hose broke, Tiffany, and
that happened to me.
that happened to you too. And he got
That
this rash all over his body, and then the cancer.
Well, what's funny is that the year that we had a 200-gallon tank of Roundup, and we would mix the the product out. So it was Roundup and In Place, and we were out. It was me and Scott, and we were out on the islands. He was training me how to treat my duck clubs, and so there's a lot of growth out there of blackberries, and so we mixed up a 200-gallon tank, and the hose busted off of it, and so it's not, they don't want you tr traveling on the freeways with a 200-gallon tank of chemical. So we just had to dump it all in one spot because the rig was broken. And Scott and I both had rashes. I don't know if it was from the Roundup. I just assumed that it was from the from formaldehyde because of everything that I read in the formaldehyde. I guess where I was starting to say to you was that there's no way that they can tell me with 100% certainty that I will not have cancer, or that I will not have something, later on. They can't give me 100% assurance after sharing with you all of the chemicals that I've handled, and I worked there for 7 years. It wasn't 5. It was 7, from 2004 actually to 2012. So that's 8 years.
Yeah, we have one
It,
minute. So what kind of last comments? Besides, everyone, please go visit bluemonarchproject.com and smarthealthtalk.com, and then we have the mosquito name, which I never can remember.
It's culexpipian.com, and that's a northern house mosquito.
Oh, the Northern House mosquito. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I took their name. I thought, what, I'm going to use their name that way.
Well, thank you so much, Tiffany, because these chemicals, we're all being exposed to them, and we've never even heard of most of them. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in to Smart Health Talk, and thank you, Tiffany Anderson, and all you listeners out there, and hope you'll be joining us again next week.
KCAA